You believe your problem is a lack of money. You are wrong. Your problem is a poverty of consciousness, a temporary blindness to the infinite source that is your very own being. You have been looking to the outer world for what can only be found within, and so you have seen only limitation. There is a principle, a divine activity, already in motion. It is not something you must beg for or build from struggle. It is a presence awaiting your recognition. When you touch this inner current, the outer form must change. It must. Your financial experience cannot remain the same. What I will share with you is not a method of getting, but a way of knowing. It is a surrender of the personal sense of lack for the awareness of omnipresent substance. This is not slow philosophy. It is immediate spiritual practice. It works very fast, but you must do it. Not with labor, but with listening. In this silence, you will discover the great reversal. You do not go out to find supply. You let the infinite supply find its expression as you. You will see that every need is already met in the consciousness of the one life, which is your life. If this truth finds a home in you, if you feel the stirring to go deeper, then let that inner direction move you. Let it become a sacred act to subscribe to this channel, uniting with this communion of seekers. And if you are ready to declare your shift from seeking to receiving, speak it now by commenting the number 11, the symbol of spiritual awakening and new beginnings. Take this step. Do it now. Your entire world has been constructed on a fundamental misunderstanding. You have been educated to perceive lack as a real condition, a solid fact existing in the world of things and bank accounts. You look at an empty space where you believe money should be, and you conclude, with the full weight of worldly evidence, I do not have. This very statement, accepted as truth, becomes the prison wall. It roots your identity in absence, in something missing, and your consciousness, which is the only true creative power, then obediently continues to project and validate that experience of absence. You are, in effect, praying for lack every time you affirm it, and then wondering why your prayers are answered. The great reversal, the first and most critical key, is to understand that what you perceive as a financial condition is never, ever primary. It is always and only a secondary effect, an outpicturing, a shadow cast upon the wall of your experience by the substance of your consciousness. The problem is not in the shadow. The problem is in the light that casts it. You are focused on manipulating the shadow, trying to stretch it or color it, while the real work is with the light source itself. That light source is your awareness, your knowing, your inner state of being. To be concerned with the money itself is to remain mesmerized by the effect. It is to stand before a frozen pond in winter, believing the ice to be the true nature of water and trying to drink the solid sheet. The truth is the fluid, living substance beneath the hardened surface. So we are not speaking of positive thinking, of merely chanting, I am abundant, while your heart vibrates with fear. That is just another layer of the personal will, the trying to fix itself, and it will always meet resistance because it comes from a sense of separation. This shift is far more profound. It is a relinquishment of the I that thinks it lacks. It is withdrawing the label you have placed upon yourself. You are not the person who cannot pay the bill. That is a story, a temporary role you are playing in the drama of human experience. Your true identity, right here and now, is the very substance of life itself, individualized. It is the same infinite intelligence that orchestrates galaxies and grows oak trees from acorns. It is complete. It lacks nothing. Can the ocean ever be thirsty? Can the sun ever be dark? Your essential being is that ocean, that sun. This means your starting point must change radically and immediately. You do not start from the problem. You never again begin your prayer, your meditation, your day from the standpoint of, oh, God, I need. That is beginning in the shadow and guaranteeing more shadow. You must begin from the truth. You begin from the silent acknowledgement. I am. The Spirit of God is my being. This being is whole, perfect, and complete. It is the substance of all form. You sit in that. You let that truth be the chair you sit on, the air you breathe. When the thought of the bill arises, you do not fight it. You see it for what it is, a shadow image on the wall, and you gently but firmly return your attention to the light. Thank you, but I am not that image. I am the life that animates this form. You are not denying the appearance. You are denying its power and its primacy. You are giving your allegiance to the cause, not the effect. In practical, daily living, this looks like a quiet inner revolution. It means when you open your wallet and see few bills, you consciously pause. Instead of the cold wave of anxiety, you breathe and inwardly declare, this is not the measure of my supply. My supply is the infinite creativity of my own consciousness expressing now. You are retraining your senses. You are teaching your eyes to see the source, not just the current form. When you walk into a grocery store, you do not go in as a beggar counting pennies. You go in as the very substance of life, appreciating the magnificent forms that substance has taken, the fruits, the grains, the abundance on display. You recognize it all as the same substance that you are. You are not a stranger in a foreign land of things you cannot have. You are walking in a universe made of the stuff of your own being. This shift in focus is not passive. It is the most active work you will ever do because it is work done in the realm of cause. It is the farmer tilling the soil, not frantically painting the dead seeds to look green. You are tilling the soil of your awareness. Every time you turn from the panic of lack to the quiet assurance of the inner source, you are planting a seed of true power. You are not doing this to get money. You are doing it to know the truth. And in that knowing, a magnetic harmony is established. The outer world, which is only effect, has no choice but to reorganize itself to reflect the new cause you have acknowledged within. The ice must melt when the sun is consistently remembered as fire. It cannot hold its frozen form. Your financial condition cannot hold its limited form when your consciousness is consistently anchored in limitless being. The change may come through an idea, an opportunity, an unexpected check, a dissolved debt. The how is not your concern. Your sole concern is the what of your own identity. See the source, and the stream will find its way to you. To recognize this divine activity as already present is to end the frantic search and begin the profound discovery. It is the moment you stop trying to summon rain from a parched sky and instead become aware that you are already standing in the river. The current is moving. The substance is flowing. It has always been so. Your sense of drought was an illusion born from looking at the bank, at the dry dirt, and believing that was the total reality of the water. The truth is that the creative principle, the divine activity of formation and fulfillment, is not something that will begin when you are worthy, when you have prayed enough, or when the stars align. It is operating now, at this instant, as the very intelligence organizing your next breath, the next beat of your heart. It is the animating force behind every blade of grass pushing through concrete, every synapse firing in your brain to form the very thought you are having about your lack. The activity is total, impartial, and ceaseless. It does not know lack. It only knows expression, formation, and the perpetual motion of life itself. Your difficulty, then, is never that the activity has stopped for you. It cannot. Your difficulty is that you have been trying to direct a river with a teacup. You have been standing in the infinite flow with your small, personal vessel of human will, attempting to scoop what you think you need onto the barren shore of your circumstances. You grow exhausted, your vessel seems empty, and you conclude the river is dry. But the river is not dry. You have merely been using the wrong instrument. Your personal sense of I. The I? That is afraid, that calculates, that strategizes and worries, is that tiny, leaky cup. The divine activity flows around it, through it. And yet you remain focused on the emptiness of the cup. The shift happens when you drop the cup. When you let go of the frantic effort to personally manipulate outcomes, you stop blocking the flow with your own limited container. You simply fall back into the river itself. You are not a separate entity trying to capture the water. You are, in your true nature, one with the water and the flow. This is not a passive resignation. It is the most dynamic acceptance imaginable. It is to look at the bill on the table, the zero in the account, and instead of launching the old, familiar campaign of anxiety, you go still. You become silent. In that silence, you make a conscious choice. You will not use this appearance as the data for your reality. You will use a higher fact. You will acknowledge, despite this appearance, I know the divine activity is present here and now. It is the only power at work. It is not absent from this situation. It is the very substance of this situation, waiting to be recognized in form. You are not pleading for a miracle from a distant God. You are acknowledging the miracle of present activity that is presently constituting the atoms of the bill, the digits in the account, and the consciousness that perceives them. In daily life, this recognition looks like a subtle but total reorientation of your attention. It is walking to your mailbox not with dread, expecting more evidence of lack, but with a quiet curiosity, knowing the divine activity expresses through all forms, including the postal service. It is answering the phone, not with a flinch of fear, but with an inner poise, knowing the same intelligence that formed the call is moving through your response. You begin to see everything, the chance encounter, the sudden memory, the canceled appointment, the unexpected delay, not as random happenings or further obstacles, but as the very movement of the river, the dynamic activity of the one intelligence, rearranging the scenery of your life to conform to a higher pattern you cannot yet see from the bank. When an expense arises that seems to shatter your budget, instead of contracting in fear, you can pause and inwardly declare, "This demand is not a threat to my supply. It is an activity within the one infinite supply, calling forth a new and previously unrecognized form of its own expression." You are not looking at the expense. You are looking through it to the activity behind it. You are watching the river take a turn, and instead of trying to force it back, you allow yourself to be carried with trust into a new landscape. This is how the man with the few loaves and fishes fed the multitudes. He did not see the lack of the food. He saw the infinite activity of multiplication present within the food itself, and he gave thanks for it. He recognized the principle already in operation. This recognition dissolves the concept of time in spiritual demonstration. You are not waiting for something to happen. You are acknowledging that the happening is the eternal now. The fulfillment is not a future event. It is the present activity of truth, which must, by its own nature, become visible. When you plant a seed in the earth, you do not dig it up hourly to see if it is growing. You trust the activity of life within the seed and the soil. You give it no anxious thought. You know the process is underway, so it is here. You plant the seed of truth in your consciousness, the recognition of the ever-present divine activity, and you leave it there. You do not uproot it with worry. You do not drown it with doubt. You simply go about your day, knowing the law is in operation. The sun does not shine because you beg it to. It shines because it is its nature. Supply does not come because you have finally strained enough. It appears because it is the nature of the infinite activity to form and fulfill. Your work is to know this, to be the clear, unanxious space where this knowing resides. The river does the rest. It is here that we encounter the great paradox, the spiritual razor's edge that separates a life of strain from a life of grace. To surrender is not to collapse in defeat. It is to rise into a higher authority. It is the conscious, deliberate release of the personal sense of I, as the door, the getter, the struggler who must wrestle good from a reluctant universe. That personal I is the teacup, and its efforts, however well-intentioned, are the very motions that spill the water. Surrender is the dropping of the cup. It is the end of the lonely campaign and the beginning of conscious union. You are not giving up. You are giving over. You are transferring the burden of achieving, securing, and manifesting from your narrow shoulders to the infinite capacity of the divine activity already in motion within you. You are not abandoning the field, you are changing commanders. This is the critical pivot from human effort to spiritual acknowledgement. All struggle arises from the belief in a self separate from source, a self that must go out and acquire what it does not inherently possess. It is the root of every anxiety, every moment of lack. You struggle to get money because you believe money is outside of you. You struggle for health because you believe wholeness is a condition you must attain. You struggle for relationships because you believe love is something another person holds and must be persuaded to give. Surrender smashes this illusion of separation. It is the inner declaration, not my will, but thy will be done. But understand this deeply. Thy will is not some capricious external decree. It is the perfect, fulfilling, abundant activity of your own divine being, which you have been obscuring with your personal agenda. To surrender is to align your personal sense of will with this omnipotent current, to let it carry you, direct you, and act through you. In practical, daily terms, this means when faced with a financial need, you do not launch the old mental machinery of frantic calculation, scrolling job boards with desperation, scheming new side hustles born of fear, or mentally begging relatives for help. These are all actions of the personal I in a state of panic. Instead, you stop. You become still. You turn within and you say, I release this. I release the burden of figuring this out. I am not the source of the solution. I am the place where the solution appears. I am the transparency for infinite intelligence to operate. Then you listen. You wait in that quiet expectancy. And then, this is crucial, you follow the impulse. You act, but your action is now a form of listening. It is not driven by fear, but by an intuitive nudge. You might feel prompted to call a specific person, not to ask for anything, but to connect. You might have a sudden, clear idea to organize a drawer, to take a walk in a different neighborhood, to open a book to a random page. These are not random acts. They are the divine activity now operating through your surrendered faculties, guiding your footsteps on the path it has already prepared. Consider the simple act of seeking employment. The personal struggle looks like mass, applying to hundreds of posts, tailoring resumes in anxiety, networking with a hungry gleam in the eye, all actions shouting, I lack, I need. The surrendered approach begins with the inner work. I am already the perfect expression of divine activity. My right place, my right work, is seeking me as I seek it. Then you act from inspiration, not desperation. You apply to the one role that genuinely resonates, not the 20 that trigger fear. You send an email because it feels right, not because you've calculated the odds. You prepare not from a place of, I must impress them, but from, I will be the clear vehicle for what wants to be expressed here. The energy is entirely different. You are no longer a beggar at the gate. You are a conscious participant in a dance, allowing yourself to be led. The interview becomes less an interrogation and more a mutual discovery. Or take the example of an overdue bill. The struggle is to stare at it, to let it hypnotize you into fear, to roil in resentment or shame. Surrender looks like this. You look at the bill, you acknowledge its appearance, and then you consciously place it symbolically and in consciousness on the inner altar. You say, I cannot solve this. I place this appearance into the hands of the infinite activity that is my life. I trust this situation to be transformed from within by a law higher than human accounting. You then turn your attention away from the problem and toward the truth. You might even perform the physical act of filing the bill away, not in avoidance, but in sacred trust. You go about your day knowing the principle is at work. The phone may ring with an unexpected offer. A check you forgot may arrive. The creditor may suddenly offer new terms. Or, most importantly, a profound peace may descend, and in that peace, a crystal, clear idea for resolution may arise, an idea that never would have come from the frenzied mind of struggle. This surrender is your highest work. It is the active practice of be still and know that I am God. The stillness is the surrender of the personal will. The knowing is the activation of the divine identity. You are not doing nothing. You are doing the only thing that matters. You are getting your small, separative sense of self out of the way so that the boundless activity that you truly are can have its full and perfect expression. You stop trying to paint the sunrise and instead allow yourself to be painted by its light. This understanding leads us to a point of immense and immediate power, where theory evaporates and direct experience begins. To accept immediate results is not to demand a magical overnight deposit, though that may indeed occur. It is to recognize that the moment you touch this inner current, the shift in consciousness is itself the primary result, and it is instantaneous. The outer world operates under laws of process and sequence, but consciousness operates under the law of the as now. When you move from a state of believing in lack to a state of knowing the omnipresent source, something has already happened that is more real than any bank balance. The ice has already begun to melt from the inside the moment you remembered the sun. You may not yet see the water flowing, but the crystalline structure of your lack has been fundamentally altered. To wait for the outer evidence to validate your inner knowing is to put the cart before the horse, and to remain enslaved to the world of effect. The acceptance must be that your inner shift is the demonstration in its first and most important form. The peace that descends, the fear that dissipates, the sudden inner clarity, these are not precursors to the result. They are the substance of the result taking form in your being. This is where many falter, for the human mind is trained to believe only in the tangible, the sequential. It says, I will believe it when I see it. Spiritual principle reverses this. You will see it when you know it. The knowing is the causative force. When you stand in the truth of your being as one with infinite supply, you have, in that instant, complied with the only condition required. You have aligned yourself with the law. It is no different than flipping a light switch. The act of flipping the switch is not a plea for light. It is the conscious engagement of the principle of electricity. You do not then stand in the dark wondering if it will work, worrying if you flipped it correctly. You know the connection is made, and you await the inevitable manifestation of light. Your inner shift is the flip of the switch. To then anxiously peer into the outer darkness is to deny the law you have just employed. The acceptance is it is done. Let this move from the abstract into the concrete reality of your kitchen, your car, your morning routine. The moment you feel the old anxiety about money arise, perhaps when you're about to pay for groceries, that is your point of immediate practice. You do not let the anxiety play its old tune. You stop it right there at the checkout line. Inwardly, silently, you declare, "This is not truth. The truth is that I am the very substance of abundance, and this transaction is a harmonious exchange of that one substance." You feel the shift within. The clutch in your stomach releases. A sense of rightness, of belonging in the flow, takes its place. That is your immediate result. The universe has just received a new command from you, not in words, but in the vibrational frequency of your being. The old command was fear and lack. The new command is unity and flow. The outer circumstances have no choice but to reorganize to match this new, higher frequency command you have issued from within. The reorganization may appear as a sudden discount, an overcharge being corrected, an unexpected refund notification on your phone an hour later. But the true miracle was the inner shift at the counter. That was the lightning flash. The thunder of outer change follows, but it is not the event, it is the echo. Or consider the moment you open a bill. The paper is in your hand. The old drama beckons. This is your sacred moment of immediate demonstration. You look at the amount, and instead of letting your consciousness be stamped by that number, you stamp the bill with your consciousness. You might even place your hand on it and speak the word of truth. In divine mind, there is no debt, only the perfect balance of giving and receiving. I see you through the lens of this balance now. You have changed the nature of the relationship between you and that piece of paper. You are no longer its victim. You are the spiritual authority, consecrating it as part of the infinite flow. The immediate result is that you feel power where you once felt powerlessness. You feel a calm command. That feeling is the evidence of things not seen. It is the currency of the kingdom. From that settled place of power, right action emerges. Perhaps you are guided to make a call you had been avoiding, or you are given the clarity to arrange a payment plan with absolute confidence and poise, which in turn opens a door with the creditor you could not have foreseen. This is the practice moment by moment. It is not a one-time meditation and then a return to the old world. It is a constant, gentle vigilance, a retraining of your reactions until they become spiritual responses. You are the watchman at the gate of your own consciousness. Every thought of lack is a thief trying to enter. You have the authority to deny it entry. You say, "No, I do not accept you. I abide in the fullness of the source." The immediate result is that you remain in peace. You abide in the kingdom. And as you learn to live more consistently in this inner kingdom, where the flow is ever present and immediate, the outer kingdom of your life cannot help but transform to reflect its nature. The interval between the inner shift and the outer form collapses. You begin to see synchronicities, solutions appearing as if from nowhere, because you are no longer looking from the barren shore of lack. You are seeing from within the flowing river itself, where every current is a movement toward fulfillment. The waiting is over the moment you stop waiting and start knowing. The knowing is the demonstration, the grand illusion so deeply ingrained is the belief that you must go out into the world to find, to secure, to claim your supply. This is the root of all exhaustion. You have been taught to see yourself as a hunter in a barren land or a beggar in a marketplace, hoping for scraps from a table that does not belong to you. This fundamental misperception turns your life into a quest, a desperate pilgrimage to a distant source. But I tell you, the truth is the precise and glorious opposite. Supply does not precede you as a goal. It emanates from you as a condition of your being. You are not moving toward supply. Authentic supply is moving toward the point of your conscious recognition, seeking to find expression as you. The infinite, formless substance of all, that is, does not reside in a bank vault or a paycheck. It resides as the very fabric of your awareness. And because you are here, individualized, it desires to take form through your life, through your needs, through your unique expression. Your need is not a sign of absence. It is the evidence of a vacuum created for the purpose of being filled by the appropriate form of the one substance. You are the magnetic center, the point of attraction, not because of your personal will, but because of your divine identity. This is the great reversal of consciousness that changes everything. It means you stop looking at the world to tell you what you have, and you start knowing from within what you are. And what you are is a center of infinite giving. Consider this. Does the sun look to the planets to determine how much light it should shine? Does the rose look to the garden to ask if it may bloom? They simply express from the overflow of their nature. Your true nature is abundance, is creativity, is limitless life. When you know this, you stop seeking opportunities with a beggar's bowl and you start recognizing avenues of expression with a creator's mind. The world is not a source to be mined. It is a canvas upon which the substance of your being is painted. The money, the resources, the solutions, they are not there. They are the infinite seeking a finite form through you. Your job is not to chase them, but to become so clear, so transparent to your source, that they have no choice but to appear in the shape required by your experience. Apply this to the most mundane moment. You sit down to pay your monthly bills. The old consciousness sees a stack of demands draining a limited pool. The reversed consciousness sees something entirely different. It sees a series of empty vessels, the billing statements, and knows that your purpose is not to anxiously pour from a small jug into them, but to stand as the wellspring. You look at the electric bill and you think, this represents light, energy, power. I am the very consciousness of that energy. The substance that fulfills this form is the same substance that I am. You do not pay it from a sense of depletion, but from a sense of circulation, of the one life energy moving from form to form. You sign the check or click the payment not as a loss, but as a holy act of acknowledging the flow. You are not sending money away. You are directing the one substance into a particular channel of expression, trusting that as you do, you are keeping the channel open for its return to you in new and unexpected forms. You are the circulator, not the owner. Or you are in need of a new car. The old way is to scour websites, lament prices, calculate painful loans, and approach the dealership from a position of negotiation and fear, hoping to wrestle a good deal from an adversary. The reversed way begins long before you ever open a browser. It begins with the silent acknowledgement within the infinite substance that is my life is already forming itself as perfect, harmonious transportation. It is seeking me now. I am at peace. You then move through the world carrying this quiet certainty. You may still research. You may still visit a lot. But you do so as observer of the one substance taking shape. You are not a desperate buyer. You are a conscious witness to the manifestation. You are looking not for the best deal you can afford, but for the form that already belongs to you, that has been seeking you. And you will know it, not by the frantic voice of the bargain hunter, but by the deep, resonant piece of recognition. The transaction becomes an act of grace, not of struggle. The funds will arrange themselves because you are not forcing a personal agenda upon a resistant world. You are allowing a divine idea to complete its formation in your experience. This knowing turns waiting into a state of active receptivity. You are not waiting for a check. You are abiding in the truth that you are the checkbook of the infinite. The right amount, the right idea, the right person is already in motion toward the center that you are, drawn by the gravitational pull of your conscious oneness with Source. Your lack was a mirage caused by looking outward. Your supply is the reality you discover by looking inward and then seeing that inward fullness objectified all around you. The world ceases to be a threat and becomes a perpetual confirmation. The mail carrier, the email notification, the chance conversation, each becomes a potential messenger of the form the substance is taking today. You live in a state of holy expectation, not for a specific thing, but for the endless creativity of the principle expressing as your life. You are the place where the infinite happens. This knowing, this profound inner alignment, is not meant to be a fleeting peak experience, a momentary glimpse of light before returning to the old, comfortable darkness of lack consciousness.